So here we are. Good evening, everybody. We are Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce and back on Mystic Matters. Someone asked me if I saw the show last week, and hoping to hear from everybody out there that watched the show if you could hear us and we did okay. But it sounds like everything went just fine. And Kristin, as you know, this is a new way of communicating to get the word out there for our businesses, and the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce and is just so great for local businesses. And we want to continue on messaging however we message. And if we have to message during Zoom and we partner with SEC TV, we're going to do it. So
we're going to do it.
Mystic Matters.
We're community strong. That's why.
And we are community strong. So why don't you tell us, start off, Kristin, with a little bit of what's going on in Mystic, and then we'll introduce our guest today.
Yes. So some of our businesses are open for business. That's what we like to say, open for business. We've got curbside pickup from a lot of your favorite restaurants in Mystic, and even from Bank Square Books. A lot of people are being very creative about figuring out how to stay in business, be open for business. So take a look at our website, mysticchamber.org. In the upper part of the website, there's a little section for local business, and what that's going to tell you is who's open for business and who's doing curbside and who's adapting at this point. On Thursday at 2:30, we are hosting part of our Zoom series. It's called Curb Appeal. So this is,
I love that.
Isn't it great? It's for anybody that's doing curbside or restaurants, retail, marketing people that have clients that are restaurants or retail. And this is something from Miranda Creative. We love Miss Maria.
Yes.
She's hosting. She's going to be giving us some tips and tricks for how to really market that and how to really maximize that potential for revenue.
Okay. So what time is that again?
That is at 2:30, and you can sign up at the mysticchamber.org on our calendar. Also, if anybody has any events that are happening virtually, please send them to us, and we will put them on our calendar, because that's what's replacing all the regular events is our virtual events. And speaking of that, on May 2nd, which is this Saturday, we have Go Local Live, and that starts at 10:30.
Yeah, great.
So we're going to be all day. We're going to be visiting different Facebook pages of our members, and they're going to be broadcasting live. They're going to be entertaining us or selling their wares or, cooking something to get you to salivate and get to-go orders or whatever. We've got Bee Carver and Shipwright's Daughter and Steamboat Inn, Coastline window treatments. So it's a whole all day long, and it's 45 minutes for pretty much for each vendor. So you tune into that, tune into our website and our Facebook page for the schedule, and then each different business is hosting on their Facebook page. So once you're done, you can hang out with them on their Facebook page.
That's fantastic. And just what a great way to get that out there, to get the message out there on some of our local business who are really pretty much struggling at this point. I mean, not doing the businesses that the business that most people you usually do this time of year. And as we gear up for the summertime, we're going to survive. Like you said, we are community strong. So the chamber, thank you, everybody at the chamber, you, Kristin, Peg, and Stephanie. We're getting our word out there, and it's just fantastic. So
thanks, Susette.
Do we get to introduce our first guest since we've been really quarantined? And I want to tell you, she's our first guest. And I love speaking with you last week, but I did miss our guests. I love our guests.
Of course.
And Robin, I'm hoping that I say your last name correctly. Ely.
Ely.
It was a 50-50 chance that I was going to get that right. And I said, thank God we don't shoot from the hip, but there are times when it's just a lot more, we're honest, and I said it twice. So I got it sort of wrong, but welcome, Robin, to the show. And the other thing I was practicing, Robin, was Mystic Matters, Mind Matters, Mystic Matters.
Part of that too.
I said, I hope Robin doesn't mind if we get that wrong sometime, but what a great name for your business, Robin.
Thank you.
So why don't we just start? It's your show today. We're going to jump in with a couple of questions, but why don't you tell us a little bit about Robin and how you started this business? And may I just say, very essential right now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, and as baby boomers and baby boomers parents, so essential. But tell us a little bit about you, Robin, and how you came about and your business.
So I graduated nursing school in 1993 with a bachelor's degree, and I worked for a little while in a local hospital, and then I worked in nursing homes. And during my work in nursing homes, I kind of rose the ladder a little bit until I was a director of nurses. And I spent about 7 years being a director of nurses. And I had done everything in between when I was a nurse's aide when I first started, when I was in school, all the way up through until I was a director. So I got a good feel of how things work with people that were elderly. And there is a huge gap in care, especially with dementia care. I went back to school. I got my Doctor of Nursing practice degree, and it was focused on dementia care specifically and the best way we could help people with dementia.
Okay. All right.
Now, Robin joined the chamber, I think it's like a year and a half ago now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, probably about a year.
Yeah, so she's been very involved, and she's been like a small business model, of what to do, and she's been utilizing the chamber membership and calling us for help with promotion and stuff like that. But we had a couple of events we had the ribbon cutting
Yes.
at your place in Groton, which is lovely. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? I'll show some pictures while you're talking.
Great. So my Groton location is on 801 Pequannock Road in Groton, and it is my second location. I have another location in Old Saybrook, and that has been open for about 4 years. This one opened in the fall, and what we have is a big activity room, and then we have a smaller room where people that might be overwhelmed can relax and maybe watch TV a little bit. Oh, the nice calm blue room.
You know what? That looks so inviting.
It is supposed to be home-like, inviting. It's
my gosh.
And people can, join me in the big room. A lot of people use the big room with me because they think they're visiting my house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they like that. So
that's fantastic. Robin, something that I want to flip back a little bit to what you said, as there's a gap in care. And I'm just curious what you mean by that.
I mean, institutions do the very best they can. They have staffing issues that aren't great for people with dementia. So a lot of times people with dementia are alone in the day, whether they're in their room or in the great room at the facility. They're watching TV, they're not stimulated. If they want to do something, sometimes it's limited because there isn't enough help. And my grandmother was an Alzheimer's patient, and she was in the nursing home where I worked. And I noticed that, to prevent her from falling and getting hurt, they put an alarm under her. And that's fine and fair enough. But every time she stood up, she had dementia. She would forget her walker, and she was apt to fall. But every time she got up, she heard the ringing. So she answered the phone and thought somebody hung up on her. And so it was very confusing for her, and there wasn't enough stimulation.
Okay. All right. So we're hearing a lot about Alzheimer's patients and a lot about, caring for them, nursing home facilities. Why so many patients now? Is it because baby boomers, that generation is getting older, Robin, or we're just getting older? And, what did people do way back when?
Well, a lot has come along with diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
So people used to be senile back a long time.
Right. That's a word, Robin, I haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah, there's a lot of senility out there, but people live longer. now.
Okay.
And age is, Alzheimer's disease typically starts in your 6th decade of life or your 7th decade of life. And the risk of getting the disease increases exponentially as you get older into your 8th decade. So as people live, because they're physically a lot healthier, people don't smoke anymore, their diet's better, they have vaccines, things like that, exercises, they live longer, and they're just apt to have this phenomenon, this Alzheimer's disease happen, or a dementing illness of any kind. It could be, there are a number of dementing illnesses. There's Lewy bodies dementia, vascular dementia, which is a dementia caused by a stroke or an issue not getting blood or oxygen to your brain.
That was going to be one of my questions, is what was the difference between Alzheimer's and dementia? And so you're saying that any kind of disease that has those symptoms where your capabilities are slowly demented.
So dementia is an umbrella term of a group of symptoms: confusion, forgetfulness, not being able to find your words. And then Alzheimer's disease causes dementia. Parkinson's disease can cause dementia. Vascular disease can cause dementia. So dementia is a big umbrella term.
Okay. So take us through the process, Robin. I have, let's say, I don't, but I'm just using an example. I have myself. No, I have a parent or a loved one, and I'm at my wit's end. What do I do? How do I go through the paperwork? How do I find you? What's the process?
So Mind Matters has a website, mindmattersct.com.
Love that website. I was on it this morning and last night. It's a great website.
Thanks. And so all you do is you give us a call. Our model of care is a social model of care. So it's not medical. So it's a very short registration form that you fill out. And it's just your basic stuff. Where you live, who takes care of you, who you live with, medications. And it doesn't have to be super specific, just so we know what to look out for as staff. If you have any allergies, and if you can do basic things by yourself, like go to the bathroom, eat by yourself. These are things I need to know. And that's it. And then it's very, very cost-effective model of care. So you pay by the hour, and you don't need to pay for like a whole day or a certain chunk of time. It's in whatever you use is all you pay for. So if you want to just come on Tuesdays, that's fine. If you need Wednesday this week and Thursday next week, that's fine.
So I transport to your facility.
So a typical day ends up being where the family or someone brings them to our facility, usually with a lunch, because we do not have a kitchen, but we can heat food up or put it in the refrigerator. And we start from there. We usually take people in, ask how they've been doing for the day, and we help them establish their own routine. So one of our patients or clients likes to read the paper and sit by himself with his coffee. So we let him do that. And then we have another woman who likes to just talk and drink some water and talk, and we do that. And so we figure out what it is they like to do, and we do that for a little while. And when there's enough people, we start assessing what kind of activities we can do with them that day. And this is where we use a Montessori approach to dementia care, because if we schedule stuff, if I say there's going to be coffee hour at 9:30 and at 10 o'clock there's bingo and 11:30 we're going to paint, people with dementia don't often want to do those things at those exact times.
Right, because they're just, their time is not really your time.
Correct.
Okay, and that, so.
Now, can I ask, do you report, like, do the families ask you to report what's happening, or, is that an official
That's a good
procedure?
We are so close with our families because our facilities, we keep small. Our ratio of staff to clients is only 1-4. So everybody gets a lot of individual attention, especially on days where there might be a lower census. Our families know us personally. They all have our phone numbers. They call us, and we keep a lot of communication open, because one day somebody may not eat well, or they might have had a bad morning getting to us, but in the day it changed and they had a wonderful time, or they got tired in the afternoon and they had to take a nap. And so we report everything that they do upon pickup.
And I also know that you take care of the caregivers as well. It seems like there's a lot of attention on that, on the family and the people that are giving the care.
Care of the caregivers is so important. The behaviors often associated with people with dementia, there's a lot of repetition, wandering, trying to exit seek, not being able to connect things. And that gets very hard to not ever get a chance to not supervise somebody, especially somebody that's an adult. So they don't understand, a lot of people with dementia don't understand redirection, and it gets exhausting. So I do support groups for the caregivers, and I give them any kind of tip I can. I find things that they might like that they could do at home. For example, I had a gentleman and he liked to play Uno a lot. So I actually just gave the family the Uno deck, but because he can't really play the way the game is meant to be played, we took out the skip, the draw twos, all of the fancy cards. So he was just matching numbers and colors. And that was good. And then I had another lady who she would try to leave. Well, I don't know why I'm here. And she tried to exit the building. And I just said, oh no, all of the kids messed up these beads. And I had a bag full of beads. And I didn't ask her to help. I just put them on the table and started putting the pink ones together and the blue ones together. And she just sat down and she worked on that for 45 minutes. And then when her husband came to pick her up, she was very proud. She was like, look at all of this that we did. So, we just try to seize an opportunity and be creative to get them to engage in something that they like. I don't plot people in front of the television. If we do, first of all, they get confused about the storyline, and sometimes that makes them upset. The news, I definitely don't do unless it's good news. And they like nature shows if we're going to do anything, or something like The Wizard of Oz that they've known for a long time and has some nice songs in it.
I had a question. Of course, I lost it right now because.
Oh, I'm sorry, am I talking too much?
No. You know what, Robin? I'm glad I lost it. It'll come back to me. And I'll tell you the reason why. You sound so passionate about what you do, what you're doing, and not only as a business owner, but you're really interactive with your patients and your caregivers. So I'm listening to you, and the passion is just exuding from your voice, and it's really, really wonderful. Now I remember the question. So your caregivers.
Yes.
You train them yourselves? I mean, how much effort goes into the training, Robin?
A lot. I train them myself. I try to keep on with the Alzheimer's Association, and what they do kind of sets the gold standard. And I always make sure that I'm talking the same talk as them, because I don't want what's out in the community to be different. That causes confusion, and it's never good in the end. So we go to some of their caregiver educations, and I supplement that with my own and the work that I've done. And I've hired, there's another RM that works with me. There is a home health aide that works with me, a nurse's aide from a nursing home that works with me, and a recreational assistant. So I get a good variety, and they all have their own talents and strengths that they bring in. One of them plays the guitar. One of them likes to do crafts, and she's really good with flowers. She used to be a florist. So there's a lot of great connection that we can make there with people, and especially with the staff to client ratio being so small, they really stay engaged all day. And that's very helpful to the family too, because when they go home in the evening, especially if they spent a significant amount of time with me, they eat their dinner, they get washed up for bed, and then they stay asleep. and that's very helpful to people. Not be worried that mom's going to escape in the middle of the night, or try to get up and think it's time to go to work and not remember.
Now we've got a website that you are working with. Let me make sure I can find it now. But this one here, I'm sharing it momentarily. And this is a part of
This is, oh yes, this is great. I love this.
It's so colorful. It's great.
Alzheimer's, alzsupportct.org. And I inherited this from Jessica Patterson. And she had set up, an Alzheimer's support group. I took that over, and now we do the Alzheimer's support group. Well, now we do it on Zoom, but I wanted to do it when we all get back to normal. Yes. We're going to be doing it at Mind Matters so that somebody can bring their loved one and they can still go to the support group and have their loved one, engage in an activity with me or with my staff while we go through some things together privately. Then on this website, there's all sorts of helplines. The Alzheimer's Association 24-hour helplines on there. The Ombudsman is on there as Title 19 specialist. Mystic Geriatric, everything in our area for helping seniors, especially ones that have dementia. So, and there's other support groups. If you don't like mine or can't make my support group, that's okay as long as you go to one, because if there's somebody you can identify with and try things out with, that you're in the same boat together, that is usually the most helpful. Mm-hmm. So I really encourage people to join a support group to get through the things that are tough with them with giving care.
Well, I think that's important, right, Kristin? It's just, you think it because you really think you're alone out there.
Yeah, and that's a lot of what I hear from women my age is that they're starting to take care of their parents, and it's definitely something I can't even imagine doing at this point, and some people don't ever have to. Some people's parents are self-sufficient until they're gone, but to know that there is support out there and this kind of thing seems like it can be quite scary to deal with. It's one thing to argue with your mom about lifelong issues, but to have her be kind of missing, that seems like difficult to navigate. So
it is, yeah, that's definitely true. And there's also, I came across this with my grandmother. When I would ask her to do something, she wouldn't want to do it because I'm the granddaughter and I'm not really a person of authority to tell her.
It's not natural for you to be. That's I'm
not the boss to her, but that's
right.
So
it's tell us a little bit about. I guess my curiosity is, well, what are the real signs? Even just a few minutes ago, I forgot my question. You know what I mean? Well, really, what are the real signs? And do you see 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds? Who are these patients?
Most of the clients I have, I can be quite honest with you, are significantly elderly people. There's a couple that are in their 60s, but most of them are in their late 80s and early 90s. Okay. And some of the things that happen is they forget, and not just when they call their children. My kids are named Morgan and Connor, Connor, and then I can't figure out what their names are. But if I was to look at them and really not recognize them, or only recognize who they are, or if you forget where you put your keys and you cannot retrace your steps, or when you get your keys in your hand, you can't remember what to use them for.
Right.
Those are more the dangerous signs of a memory impairment that needs medical attention or a diagnosis from a doctor.
Well, and is there anything that can be done as far as, you're saying diagnosis, but is there a treatment for that kind of thing, or is it just care?
There are some treatments, and the Alzheimer's Association and the sciencey people are working really hard. Hopefully, it's not on hold from COVID, but they are working hard. But the medications that they have, people know as Aricept, Namenda, Exelon, that comes in a patch form, and they do help, and they're supposed to stop the progression of the illness, but they only work for a short amount of time, and they aren't a cure. The best type things that you can do is to stay healthy and have a healthy lifestyle, and mental stimulation. Because when you talk about, keeping your mind active, you need to talk about both of those things. So getting enough exercise, sleep, nutritious food.
So this is the preventative type of thing. If you,
but it's helpful,
right?
But not necessarily will stop dementia. But it is the best. There's a study called the Pointer Study. The Alzheimer's Association has all the information on that, and they're working very hard. But it is about a healthy lifestyle. And another part of that is to make sure that you're going to the doctor. If you have high blood pressure, keeping your numbers in check, and your blood sugars, your cholesterol, your weight, things like that. Going to the doctors often, getting things fixed as they go wrong with you.
Right.
Right. So all of those are important.
Yeah, right. So is there any, and we only have a few minutes left, do you provide any like nutritional kind of things? Nutritional thoughts for any of us? Or?
Yeah. So during this time when things are really hard, it's hard to keep a routine for yourself.
Right.
But really want to try to keep a routine for someone, if you are caring for someone with dementia or in any kind of illness that makes them struggle. And things that are the most important to keep on schedule is the medication regimen your doctor prescribes. Your sleep-wake times should always kind of be as consistent as possible. Meal times could be consistent. Everything else you can weave in an opportunity to get something else done. And and you want to make sure you get enough exercise in the day, although everybody seems a little bit trapped in their homes. But even something like balloon toss,
something, just
walk, because you want to be able to sleep through the night and have your sleep-wake cycle stay consistent. Yeah. So those are the best tips I have.
Just tell us about your 2 locations again, your website. So,
all right, mindmattersct.com is my website, and there's also alzsupportct.org. That gives a lot more information, especially local stuff in Groton, and links to Groton Senior Center, things like that. There's one location in Old Saybrook on 220 Old Boston Post Road. And
was that the original location, Robin?
That is my original location.
Yeah, right.
And then 801 Pequannock Road is right in Groton. And I'm very proud of that new one. It's a really, really pretty facility. And I'm hoping that we get it all filled up and have people in there and be happy with me all day.
We have a couple minutes left too. And I just want to tell us about your business and how it's going since you opened up.
So I was, when I very first opened, it was hard to get the word out. I was a nurse by career, so marketing isn't my thing. I finally started gaining some clients, and it's a word of mouth type of thing. Okay. And people that went to support groups kind of started to hear about it. And then I finally started to really blossom in Old Saybrook, and I wanted to open another location. And I figured that Groton, since I live in Mystic myself with my family, would be a great location to do business in, and it has, and everything kind of came together this fall, and I opened. So
I remember when the Kristin with the ribbon cutting.
Yeah.
Now, we do have a support group that the Zoom series, the Mystic Chamber Zoom series is supporting, and that is May 12th, and we have another one on May 26th. So we'll be hosting that for Robin those 2 weeks, and then we're hoping
May 12th and May 26th.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep, and the Franks will put that up on the screen, I'm sure, and then you can look on our website for that information.
So we're going to roll. Robin, thank you so much. It's so great to see you.
Kristin. Thank you, Kristin.
As usual, I'll see you next week with the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce, Mystic Matters, and Mind Matters. Good evening.